Before the storm broke over the mountains of Subiaco, there was silence. A silence filled not with emptiness, but with longing. In the fading light of an Italian evening, a woman consecrated to God sat across from her brother, speaking not of this world, but of heaven. Her name was Scholastica, and though history would remember her as the twin sister of St. Benedict, heaven knew her for something far greater, a love that could move the sky. Born around the year 480 in Nursia, in the crumbling remains of the Roman world, Scholastica entered life at a time when empires were falling and faith was being tested. Tradition tells us she and Benedict were twins. From childhood, they were bound not only by blood, but by a shared hunger for God. While Benedict would one day retreat into caves and found monasteries that shaped Western civilization, Scholastica chose a hidden path. She consecrated her virginity to Christ and lived near one of her brother's monasteries. She did not write a rule. She did not govern communities. She did not preach before kings. Her vocation was quieter. Once a year, the siblings would meet in a small house near Monte Cassino. They would spend the day speaking of divine things, of scripture, of eternity, of the kingdom that does not fall. These meetings were not casual family visits. They were encounters between two souls who had given everything to God. And on one particular evening, as shadows grew long and the air cooled, something unexpected would happen. Something that would reveal the true measure of sanctity. Because holiness is not always found in authority, sometimes it is found in love. As night approached, Benedict rose from the table. The rule he had written demanded discipline. Monks were not to remain outside the monastery after dark. Order safeguarded the soul. Scholastica looked at her brother and made a simple request. "Stay tonight," she said. "Let us continue speaking of the joys of heaven." Benedict refused. "How can I remain outside the monastery?" he answered. "It is not permitted." There was no anger in his voice, only firmness. Scholastica did not argue. She did not debate theology. She did not quote scripture. Instead, she bowed her head, and she prayed. Her hands folded upon the table, her heart turned entirely toward God. She asked not for rebellion, but for more time to speak of eternal things with the one soul who understood her deepest longing. The sky had been clear, but suddenly thunder cracked across the mountains, lightning tore through the darkness, rain poured down in violent sheets, flooding the path back to the monastery. The storm was so fierce that Benedict could not leave. He turned to his sister. "May God forgive you," he said. "What have you done?" And Scholastica answered with words that would echo through the centuries. "I asked you, and you would not listen. I asked my God, and he listened." In that moment, Benedict understood. He would later tell his monks, she could do more because she loved more. The rule was holy, but love was greater. They spoke through the night, not of storms, but of heaven, of the eternal homeland toward which their lives were directed, of Christ, who is both beginning and end, of the joy that no empire can destroy. 3 days later, Scholastica fell ill. Her earthly pilgrimage was coming to its close. From his cell at Monte Cassino, Benedict lifted his eyes toward heaven, and there he saw a vision. His sister's soul rising upward in the form of a white dove, ascending into the light. He wept, not from despair, but from awe. He sent his monks to bring her body to the monastery. She would be buried in the tomb he had prepared for himself. In death, as in life, they would remain united. Scholastica left no writings, no reforms, no institutions bearing her name, and yet her witness endures. She reminds us that obedience without love can become rigid, but love rooted in God transforms obedience into freedom. In a world that measures greatness by visibility, Scholastica teaches us the power of hidden fidelity. She teaches us that prayer is not weakness, it is participation in divine power, and that sometimes the saints who change history are not those who build structures, but those who kneel. Holiness is possible, not through control, but through love.